My older brother grew up watching the original Star Wars films in theater. I grew up watching the prequels in the movie theater. In fact, I don't know if it's the first movie I ever saw in theaters, but the first movie I remember seeing in theaters was The Phantom Menace. Now, I'll be the first to admit that The Phantom Menace is one of my least favorite Star Wars films. Probably one of my most controversial Star Wars opinions is The Phantom Menace is my least favorite of the prequels, except it has my favorite lightsaber duel and space battle in the prequels. Some people are going to be upset by that, especially with Revenge of the Sith existing, which, by the way, I love, but I have my reasons why I like the climax of The Phantom Menace so much, and I'll talk about that later. Now, having said that, having established it's my least favorite, I still love the heck out of that film and have many fond memories. My brother took me to the movie theater to watch it, and I'm pretty sure he had already seen it. We were at the cheap theater, and I remember before the movie started, there were red-tinted lights shining on the screen. I thought it was so cool that they did that just to represent Darth Maul. I discovered later by going to more movies that those lights at that particular theater were always red before the movie started. After the film, I remember coming home and telling my parents all about it. I was so excited. I was telling them all about Darth Maul and his double-bladed lightsaber. I think that was the first toy lightsaber I ever owned. A light-up Darth Maul lightsaber. Pretty sure it broke within a year. I think it even broke in half at one point, which was still movie accurate. For Halloween, I dressed up as Darth Maul. I put on all these black clothes and black robes, and then my mom painted my face with cheap Halloween makeup by looking at a picture of Maul that she printed off the internet. The dial-up internet. I remember thinking that I had the coolest looking face ever. It would rival members of the 501st. Remember, I was like 6 years old. It wouldn't really rival anyone in the 501st Legion, but I didn't even know what the 501st was back then, so yeah, it counts. In reality, it looked fine, as long as I didn't take my hood off. My light brown hair sort of ruined the Darth Maul illusion. Looking back at my childhood, most of my costumes were Star Wars related in some way or another. Now in adulthood, nothing has really changed except my costumes are more expensive and hopefully better quality. My senior year in high school, Lucasfilm announced they would be re-releasing every Star Wars film in 3D starting that year, and they would be releasing them every year for the next 6 years. Eventually, all 6 Star Wars films would be in 3D. I was more excited by the idea of seeing the original trilogy in theaters than anything. I had not done that up to that point. Spoiler for my next videos, the only original I've seen in theaters is The Empire Strikes Back. More on that to come in my Empire video. Of course, later that same year, Lucasfilm was bought by Disney and those plans were nixed. My best friend and I dressed up and stood in line outside the movie theater that night. There wasn't really a line, but we did it anyways for fun. We had a group of friends with us. It was so exciting to see the marquee say Star Wars. I dressed up in a poor man's costume of Han Solo. He dressed as Luke Skywalker. His girlfriend at the time dressed as Leia from Hoth, which was a little awkward since I was Han Solo and he was Luke, but that's who we each looked more like, respectively. Looking back, it's kind of funny we dressed as original trilogy characters to go see episode 1, but hey, what are you gonna do? We actually had a couple friends who had never seen a single Star Wars movie before. It was fun. It was exciting. Fast forward to this year, 2024, the 25th anniversary of Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. Man, I'm starting to feel old. Not as old as my brother, of course. Take that, brother. Lucasfilm re-released The Phantom Menace in honor of the 25th anniversary. I now have a son. He's 4 years old. Guess what I did? I took him to see his first movie. The first film I remember seeing in theaters is the same as his first movie in theaters. It's like poetry. It rhymes. I was so excited. He was so excited. I told him beforehand that he would need to sit for a long time and that we would need to be quiet if we had anything to say. We sat down and he was so excited. I started talking to him and asking him questions, and this was before the previews even started, and he whispered to me, "Daddy, we have to be quiet." He remembered. It was so cute. Now, there were moments he was quite restless. I figured this film was one of the more mellow films overall to introduce to a little kid, but it's also one of the more boring ones. You have a lot of introduction, trade route disputes, talking, a lot of time spent on Tatooine in the sand, but there were fun and exciting moments. When they introduced the Jedi Council, he saw Yoda and he said, "Grogu!" I said, "No, that one is Yoda." He said, "Oh, okay. Is that one Grogu?" He pointed at Yaddle sitting in the background. I said, "No, that's Yaddle. That's the girl Yoda." It's funny how Grogu was baby Yoda to us, but Yoda is old Grogu to my kids. So, don't know if I'm doing parenting right or wrong. Overall, my son was fantastic at the theater. He had to go to the bathroom twice, but he was fast and we were able to come back to the theater without missing too much. He did try to go a third time, just minutes after going the second time. At this point, I realized he was a little bored and just wanted to move around. But he was good, and he was all eyes on the screen during the climax of the film. His mom asked him later, "How did you like the movie?" He said, "It was long." When I asked him, he said, I like it. I asked him, do you want to go to the theater again? He said, I think no. Now, I told you I would revisit my earlier comment about my controversial take on the ending of the film. Why do I like the space battle and lightsaber duel better at the end of this one than Revenge of the Sith? Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love both the space battle and the epic lightsaber duel at the end of the film. I just enjoy Phantom Menaces a little bit more, and this is why. First, the space battle. I love the space battle. I think it promises us the kind of battle we can get in the age of modern technology. It's tense.
This is tense!
It's even dense.
It's so dense.
But the camera shakes, the visual effects, the epicness of the battle, it just feels immersive, like you are in the battle. The originals felt that way to me too. To me, the Battle of Coruscant at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, there's so much going on, it's almost hard to follow what is happening at times. And that's okay, because that's the other point I want to make. The focus of that scene is not so much the space battle. The goal of our main characters is to get to General Grievous's ship, and there are many obstacles in the way. So the focus is getting to that destination. There just happens to be a space battle happening all around us. In other words, the focus is not the space battle, that's just the environment, if that makes sense. And I think that's why the Battle of Coruscant doesn't rank as one of my top favorite space battles. I love the scene, I love the visuals, I love the one shot that's the beginning of the film, but the purpose of that scene is different than many of our typical Star Wars space battles, which is, at the end of the day, to blow up the bad guy's ship. Second, the lightsaber duel. Battle of the Heroes is by far the most impressive choreographed lightsaber duel in the entire franchise of Star Wars. Maybe the only exception are those cool cinematic trailers for the Old Republic, but I mean, I don't think that really counts as choreographed because it's animated. I don't know, does it? It's a good question. But outside that, there's no denying Battle of the Heroes, just grand epicness. There is one thing that bugs me though. I feel like the majority of the duel is shot as a mid-shot. There's some wide and there's some close-ups, yes, but so much of the duel is shot as mid-shots over the shoulder, if you will. And because both sabers are blue, sometimes it's difficult to really, show off that amazing choreography and to be able to tell whose lightsaber is whose in that scene. So it's the direction of the angle and the focal length of the camera, if you will. In the Phantom Menace, you get these beautiful wide shots, long shots, filmed from the side instead of head on. Each character has a different color lightsaber. I think it's just easier to follow the impressive dueling choreography. Now, before the hate comments come in, don't misunderstand. This is not in any way to knock Revenge of the Sith. I love that film. I love the ending. It's beautifully done. The battle is epic. I just enjoyed the Phantom Menace a little bit more when it comes to the duel. And I know there will be comments about, well, what are you talking about? This scene is shot way better than the dumb way the Phantom Menace was shot. And you're probably right. In fact, don't get me wrong, I have issues with the Phantom Menace too. In fact, some of the color grading in the Phantom Menace really puts me off. Why is Obi-Wan's lightsaber not pure white right here? What did the color grade? Did they color grade after applying the visual effects? I have my problems with it too, but saying you like something better or that something is your least favorite out of a selection doesn't mean you don't appreciate the art that is Star Wars. My least favorite Star Wars film is still higher on my all-time favorite films than a lot of other movies. Trust me. I love this film. I love the prequels. My best friend and I always argue over which is better, The Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. And I will tell you exactly why I love Attack of the Clones in that video.